Hi everyone, I wanted to come on here today and do a quick review and a first impression of these Gansi Tambi Opal colors. They're, I believe, they say they're water-based pigments, so I don't know if they're classified as watercolors specifically, but I do know the Gansi Tambi do fall in between like a watercolor and a gouache sometimes as far as consistency. To test them out, I got some black watercolor paper because a lot of times metallic colors or iridescent opal colors show up completely differently on black paper versus white paper. So I have a small pad of the Legion Stonehenge Aqua Cold Pressed watercolor paper in the color black. And I also have my Baohong Academy watercolor paper pad. These are both 100% cotton and they are, I believe, the same exact size. I will be testing these colors on both of these pads today so you can see the difference in effect on white paper versus black paper. So they are full pans and we have 634 Opal Pink, 692 Opal Copper, 695 Opal Gold, 651 Opal Green, 633 Opal Blue, and 638 Opal Violet. I'm going to activate these colors with a little bit of water. I have another metallic palette. I've had this metallic palette for quite some time, and it's different because these are metallic, these are opalescent. But with these ones, I do need to let water sit on them for a few minutes to get the pigment activated to a level that it's like actually really noticeable. I don't know if that's the case with these, but I am going to drop some water on each one of them to kind of get them going. I've never used black watercolor paper before, so this is also a first impression for me. But it does have a little bit of texture. It's cold pressed and it's in a block, which is nice. I'm gonna just fold this. Oh, I wonder, oh, okay. So I believe what I will do, I think what I'm gonna do is do the all black to start, and then I'll go in and do them on the white paper. I'm going to start from left to right with the Opal Pink to start. Okay, so this is the Opal Pink. That is the Opal Pink on black paper while it's still wet. Next, I'm going in with the Opal Copper. It has a creamy consistency similar to other Gansi Tambi colors. I have some of their other sets in just the traditional colors. Oh, this one's really pretty. First impression. Next is the Opal Gold. Oh, I like that one. I'm going to try to lay these pretty opaque. I really want to see what the full effect is. That shows up very gold and yellow on black paper. Next is Opal Green. So far, this is my favorite. This is beautiful, especially on black paper. It makes me want to add it to a galaxy painting or something planetary. Oh, it's almost touching that other one. I need to be careful. Really love this. It gives me a mermaid. I tend to lean towards green colors anyway, so I kind of knew I'd like this one. Beautiful. Oh, that's so beautiful. It gives a metallic mint color on this black paper. Very pretty. I'm excited to see this blue one next. Oh, let me scoot this page up. Oh yeah, this one gives that moonstone kind of look. I have a moonstone in this ring. This isn't my original wedding ring, but it's the one I picked out. I've been married for a very long time, and the ring I was married with, I of course still have, but it's pretty thick, and for day-to-day when you're raising a family and cleaning and doing all these things, it just wasn't practical for me. So I got this moonstone ring, and sometimes when it hits a light, it gives this kind of blue effect. At least the cut I got. I really love this color and this color so far. But it'll be interesting to see on white paper if my preferences are different. And this last one is Opal Violet. That one is quite pretty as well. I might play around and mix these and see what kind of fun combinations I get. Let me add a little bit more. This one's very pretty. As they're drying, I'm noticing they're getting more intense. The color, especially with this green, it looks very metallic. So here are all the colors. Currently, this one, once again, was the pink, the copper, the gold, the green, the blue, and the violet. I'm going to let these dry, and we'll come back to them and I will label them in a moment. Now I'm going to take my white cold press watercolor paper. Also, it's in a block as well. Let me move these over here actually. And I'm going to go in the same order I did the first ones. So starting again with the pink. Obviously, white on white is going to be a lot more difficult to see. Might be less of a wow factor while wet. We'll see how it is when they're dry. I'll try to put it up against different light and see if it shines differently. These you could layer on top of a watercolor, obviously. So if you painted, I don't know, say a flower and you wanted the petals to be iridescent, you could wait for that to dry and then put this on top, or you could mix it with the color. I'm not sure how that would turn out. I'm sure every color would vary. Let me see if my camera will focus. You're getting that pink interference, that shift, but obviously not much. Not much solid color. That is the opal pink. Oh, cat hair. Always, always and forever. Oh, where'd it go? Doesn't matter how hard I try to seal up my paints or wipe my desk. They find a way. So opal copper. I'm feeling like these are all gonna look exactly the same on the paper, at least while they're wet. Maybe I'll speed through this part. Here is what the colors look like on white paper, completely dry. I'm going to use the flash on my phone to show you the opal and like metallic glittery effects that it has. I'm hoping you can see that. I'm trying not to put the light so close that it blinds it. It's really glittery and iridescent and really beautiful in person. This, what color is this? The blue? It's interesting, the shift, because it almost looks yellow here and then it shifts to blue, and all these colors are shifting. So the one that is, excuse that, the one that is gold, this color, when you shift it, it has a blue undertone. So this pink one, when you shift it, looks green. So they all have different shifts to them. The green one looks pink when you shift it the other way. And the violet one has almost like a white base and then just like violet glitters to it. And here's what it looks like on the black paper under a flash. I don't think it's going to show up as well as it does in person, but hopefully you're seeing some of that shimmer. So I wanted to test these opal colors on top of some watercolor. So I'm gonna take a activity idea out of this watercolor book that I have. It's the Creative Watercolor and Mixed Media guide. It's for beginners. It's actually for all levels, and it's from one of my favorite watercolor artists, Anna Victoria Calderón is how I believe you say her last name. Fantastic artist. I've been following her since the very beginning of my painting journey. I've been to one of her retreats before. She's a fantastic artist, and she's also really great at giving comprehensive ideas and breakdowns of watercolor. She has multiple classes. I believe she has 5 books now. I have a handful of them myself, and I decided, I put my paintbrush here as a bookmark, to do some of her gems and crystals. I'm not going to go in a lot of detail. Here she's kind of explaining some of the shapes that she typically does. I've done these before, back when I've done some of her classes quite a few years ago, but I feel like this opal color would be great on top of a gemstone motif. So that's what I'm going to do today. Today I'll be using my really large Mijello Studio palette. This has the majority of my watercolors in it, and it has a ton of space to, let me move my jars of water, hold on, to mix, and I like to leave them. I don't want to wipe them down. Whereas with my smaller, I don't know if you've ever seen my Wooden Nature palette, it still has a lot of paints in it, but the mixing space is much smaller, so I have to usually use a plate on the side. But this one is just jam-packed with colors. I can't choose between colors, so I want them all. I know less is more, they say, but sometimes more is more. Another thing I really like about this palette is depending on the color story I'm going with that day, I can kind of move it around and, you know, get all the different sections. I really like how I laid this out. It flows with my work style really well. I think I'm gonna stick to mostly blues and greens today. Maybe some purples, maybe some pinks over here. You can't see them, they're out of frame, but I'm just going to fill these in with some fun colors, and once they're dry, I'm going to go over them, or maybe I'll add in some opal while they're wet. I don't know, I haven't decided. I don't want to mix a lot of opal into my actual palette. I want to keep that separate, so maybe I'll get a separate mixing plate just for this. And I'm also going to be using my Princeton watercolor brushes today. They're more snappy than my Silver Black Velvet. I really like my Silver Black Velvet for landscapes, or, you know, it's just kind of a personal preference that day. Today I'm feeling like having something that's more controlled and snappy, so I'm going with these. Okay, so I quickly painted these gemstones and I let them dry. I added a little bit of opal to this one while it was wet, but I didn't see, I guess you can see a tiny bit, it's hard to tell. I really wanted to see what they look like over watercolor once this is dry. So I'm going to just pick random colors. So this first one, I'm gonna go ahead and just use the opal pink over it. I don't think I want to go too opaque because I don't want it to cover up all of the pretty color underneath. I want to almost add it just as an effect on top. Please excuse my treadmill that's updating very loudly. It definitely gives it a opal milky look, at least while it's wet. Let me go in with this violet on top of this one. I think I'm gonna splatter the green over this one. Make sure I'm gonna load up my brush pretty good. Need to have quite a bit of water on my brush for the splatter to move. It might get everywhere, that's okay. Oh, it got onto the, let me just, come on. And go in with the copper, maybe on this one. Ooh, that's really pretty. I really like that blue effect. Obviously, the darker the watercolor, the more the color will, the interference will show up, the whatever's color it shifts to. Kind of like how it does on the black paper. Let's do a green one. Maybe I'll do this one up here. Now I will say metallics and shimmery watercolors, when you scan them, they don't tend to show up like they do in person. I believe that's the same with like very bright neon color paints as well. But if this is just for your own enjoyment, or if you like to paint originals and give them away or sell them, I mean, these are amazing effects to have. I think I'm going to go in with violet on this one right here. And then for this one, I think I'm just gonna cover the whole thing with another layer of water and drop in the opal to see how it disperses. Did I use the copper yet? I can't remember. Maybe I'll do the gold. I think I already used the gold, but that's okay. Oh, I really like the way that that spreads. Show you a close-up. I love the way these shimmery mica powders glitter in the water. So beautiful. It's a great addition when you really want to mix it up. If you're feeling bored with the colors you have or uninspired, these are so cool to add effect to your paintings. I think I'll do one more. I don't need to use all of them. This one that I added it when it was wet, you can kind of see, but not nearly as much as when you put it on top separately. So let me use the copper. I don't know if I've used the copper, I can't remember, on this one down here. I mean, you could spend so much time doing color combinations of, you know, copper on purple or gold on blue, or you know what I mean? I feel like if painting is something you enjoy doing as a calming practice or as your personal time to, you know, I don't know, just spend time doing something you enjoy, this is a really fun way to mix it up. I think I'm going to splatter some green all over the page. Because the green and blue are my two favorites so far. So I want to add a little bit of both of these. Oh, that's a little too wet. And then when these are dry, I will, some people just dab it. I don't know. I know you can use a toothbrush as well. I'm just too lazy. It gives such a beautiful effect. I'm really glad I picked these up. I did this on a whim because I really wanted to paint some oysters and pearls and abalone. Even like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it in an illustrative way or an abstract way. I just saw some images and was really inspired, but I didn't have this opal iridescent kind of paint. And so I thought this would be a great way to add them into my colors without having to buy a bunch of individual paint colors or like a whole set. I guess this is technically a whole set, but I looked online on Etsy for some homemade watercolors, and I definitely want to get some more, but they were pretty pricey, and this was just a really good deal. Let me look up how much I spent on. I got these on Amazon. I should have mentioned this earlier. So this whole set was $12.19, and Amazon's always having like little flash deals or sales. If there's other places you can purchase them, I'll look online and add them link them below. But I feel like for $12, getting all these different opal colors was a really good deal and really good way to test out if I like the effect. And as it's drying, it's definitely becoming more transparent, which I prefer because I want to be able to see the color underneath. And it's really pretty. How fun. Once this dries, I'm going to go in like the image in the book and add lines so it looks like a gemstone, but for now I need to let that dry. I also added a second layer just to the half of these colors. You can see the line where I added a second layer to see how much it builds up. It definitely added more opacity, but not by a lot. It'd be interesting to see this same illustration on black paper, perhaps with gouache or even acrylic gouache, and then this on top. I wonder if it would layer on top of acrylic gouache. It would definitely layer on top of gouache, or even just going in with white gouache and then, you know, painting this on top of that would be excellent. Okay, so I let the paint dry and I added some white lines to give it that gemstone cut look. And this is what it looks like completely dry. I can see I've missed a few spots with the opal, but that's okay. Overall, I think that looks really good. Excuse me, that looks really good when it's dry. It's hard to see where you're painting when it's wet, but once it dries, it pops out. Overall, I'm really happy with the effects it gives. I think it's so beautiful. I feel like there's so many things you can add this effect to depending on your style. Like with illustration, you could do obviously like gemstones or butterflies or anything that has like a natural iridescence to it, anything in the ocean, or you could just add it to anything you want to. I don't know. I think for the price, this is just under $13. I feel like it's such a great additional tool to have with your watercolors to add a fun effect, to kind of give you inspiration, to get you out of a rut if you're feeling kind of stuck with your ideas. I love it. I think it was really fun. I want to keep playing with it. I definitely want to try it on dark paper over gouache. Again, let me show you what it looks like on its own on white paper. The sun's come out a little bit more since I first started filming, so hopefully you can see it a little bit better. And then on the black paper, which way was it? That way. It gives more of a metallic effect than an opal effect on black paper. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review, first impressions. It, you know, like all supplies, you can play around with them in a myriad of ways. This was just what came to my mind initially, and I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. I try to respond to all my comments. If you like this, please like and subscribe. I am getting close to 1,000 subscribers, which is super exciting. I appreciate each and every one of you for watching this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!